Okay, here we are.
Hello, everyone. It's time for another episode of the Blindside Podcast. I'm Tim, aka Blind Metal Gamer. Alongside with me today is my co-host Beth, aka Denver Queen, and tonight we're going to be talking about something that is very near and dear to our hearts as people with disabilities. That is real work for real wages and the effect of subminimum wage on people with disabilities. Beth, would you like to
Hmm.
start by presenting some data regarding the subminimum wage? Yes.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I have. You want a cheeseburger? I'm good. I'll eat it in a bit.
Okay. Whoops, we were interrupted. Okay.
All right.
So I want to start by talking about my work history, which is very much telling with regards to disabled people and livable wages. And we also have a direction that we could go with. A lot of the disabled people are not paid enough, but it's not just about the pay, it's also the career type that um, people with disabilities often end up in. And uh, first of all, I had a lot of career aspirations in my childhood. I wanted to be, well, let's see. I wanted to be a cop when I was a young girl. I thought it was cool. Okay,
Nice.
whatever. And I wanted to try maybe being a herpetologist because Florida, oh yeah, too many alligators and crocodiles
Oh wow.
and oh, there's a lot of aspirations I had. But then I ended up saying, okay, screw all this. I want to be a choir director.
hmm
And I looked at the requirements for all of these. Well, obviously, cop was out because you have to have a gun and a car, a
Right, and
driver
then
license.
right,
Well,
and
even canine handlers have to have a good science degree. But
mm,
honestly, there's something I kind of thought about recently, and it was, um, I thought it would be cool if I could, if qualified, do training with dogs for the bomb squad
mm,
because it's kind of fun. It's like the dogs get to have fun sniffing around looking for explosives. And
mm,
once they can alert you to explosives and you're not even looking actively. But that's
mm.
why dogs are fun. And I would have loved to have worked with animals, but they would. And this is one of the biggest problems and challenges of disabled people. We often
Mm.
go to college thinking we're going to complete our degree. And in
Right,
my
it doesn't
case, I did
happen.
not complete, it didn't happen.
Right, and for
Now,
me, for on my end
mhm.
of things, uh, I did not complete. I didn't even last a day. Like it was only one day for me, and I was out because I didn't. We didn't have what we needed. Now tonight's focus is not that necessarily, but it's about real work for real wages, sub minimum wage, and sheltered employment.
Subminimum wage is definitely a problem, but how do you
Yes, it
get into
is.
these subminimum wage jobs? The
Let
how
me
you
give.
get into it,
Let me explain. I'm going to give a little
go ahead.
history to all the listeners out there. That was just Denver
Hmm.
Queen kind of doing her thing, uh,
Hmm.
going on a bit of a soapbox there. But anyway, I'm going to give a little bit of
I
history
didn't mean to.
on the
Hmm.
topic of subminimum wage and how they got started. Back in 1938, the Fair Labor Standards Act was put into place, and with it, it became Section 14C. And what Section 14C allowed employers to do is it allows employers to pay employees with disabilities, such as you and I, subminimum wage, as opposed to our typically developing colleagues. So we could have had, let's say, that dog trainer job, for example. Let's say
Hmm.
you and myself, and let's say two
Hmm.
other just random Joe Schmoes were at the same job, said doing the same things. Well, the two people that did not have a disability would have, the regular wage and all this. The people with disabilities at that same job if the employer had a 14C certificate, could be paid sub minimum wage, and it was legal. And it's been this way for over 80 years. for over 80
And
years.
there was a
This is
documentary on it on
yes,
CNN, something about
yes,
slavery and pennies per hour. It
yes,
just was enough to shock
yes.
me.
I've not watched
Yeah.
that, but I do. If I may indulge, Beth, Denver Queen, I would like to
Yeah,
indulge and tell the listeners my story of
go for
how
it.
some minimum wage affected me, and how I got my job I have today, and how it's positively affected my life. And then we'll go into some strategies that employers could use to help people with disabilities get real jobs for real wages. So, my story
Got it.
begins in 2002. I just graduated high school, and you're thinking, yeah, you graduate, go to college, be the big man on campus. Well, that wasn't the case for me. They decided that my best thing was to get a job straight away, and they felt that college was not going to be fitting for me because, and I quote this, they felt that I couldn't handle it. Okay, fine. I'll get a job and do it that way. Well, I'm at home. I just graduated '02. No work. I had Office of Vocational Rehabilitation, OVRs will refer to from here on. OVR personnel had changed on my case. So whenever that person would change, the plan would change. Now, the first person I got, okay, let's get you to work, let's get you working. Okay, I'm on board. What I didn't know was I was going to be going to work for a place that was going to have an impact on my life in a way that I did not even foresee happening, and that is uh, I got paid some minimum wage. I went to work at a place called FHI in my hometown, and for those of you who don't know, FHI dealt with different things, different types of jobs, folding bags, making counterweights, basically what's called piecework, where the person gets paid by the piece instead of an hourly rate. You get paid by how much work you do a day. So I'm doing that thinking, okay, this is fine. I'll be able to make a decent living, single, young, not really doing a lot of bill paying and whatnot. Well, I worked there, and when it came time for the first check, I'm like, oh, nice, paycheck time. I get to see what's up, and I'm thinking, yeah, I'm going to be on cloud nine. And I look at it, and it was only for $34. I'm like, okay, this cannot be correct. Something's up. And uh, come to find out, yeah, only $34 for 40 hours of work. And so my family and I were thinking, okay, uh, wow. And they were like, keep going, keep doing what you're doing because that might be just to start you out. Okay, fine. I'll keep going. There would be days I'd wake up, I'd be so raging and so angry that I didn't want to go. I'd be so pissed off. I did not want to go to work because I knew what I was getting. It was just literally either doing these little piece jobs, like putting cardboard boxes together for wild turkey, or doing stuff with bags or collating. And it was like every time I would go there and get paid, I'd be getting these really small checks. Eventually, from June of '03 until September of '03 is when I worked there. In September of that '03, my family and I decided, you've done that long enough. They're not doing you right. Get out of there. You can try college. So in 2005, after a year and a half of training, I went to college. Okay, I got in, got moved into my dorm and everything. Everything was going to be peachy king. I was going to have all my tech, all my stuff. I didn't. I had only one thing: a huge, giant Oculec CCTV, and I'm sure you know what those are all about. Those big,
Yeah, those
those
are the.
those giant monstrosities. And for those of you who don't know,
Oh yeah.
they would take up probably where I'm sitting right now. Would probably take up the whole desk of where I'm at. So I get there, I get all this stuff, and or this one thing, and I'm in a panic. What am I going to do? Because class was in like 3 days. So I go to class that first Monday. the professor was not going to accommodate what I needed for some assistive technology that I had purchased, that I had for class or whatnot. So that I get back to the dorm and I'm looking at my syllabus, and it's not getting any easier. It's only increasing as the classes go on. So I knew I had to get out of there. So that night I called my family up. I said, "Look, I don't got what I need. I need to get out." So they came and got me at 8 or 9 at night, told me to pack up my stuff. All the people in that dorm helped me pack my stuff out to the car, and I left. Um,
Mhm.
excuse me. Then, so after that happened, um, I knew then I had to get to work. So my OVR person at the time said, "What about the place I worked at before?" I said, "No." They had paid me uh, poorly. It was not enough to support my family. It was not enough to make a living. And it was just very, very bad condition. Like when I was at FHI, if I wasn't working, I was sitting on my butt in downtime doing nothing, just listening to the radio. So, that's
Mhm.
where I was most of the time, was in downtime. So for like 8 hours a day. So I just basically, for those of you who are wondering, went to work, quote unquote work, and sat on my rear end for the majority of the day. Unless they had something minuscule for me to do, like make a counterweight or put boxes together, then I would be working. But if not, I would be sitting in the downtime room. Okay. So then other
Mhm.
things came and went, volunteer jobs, and I was doing data entry work at a church in my hometown. And I met a guy from the Human Development Institute who helped me get the job I have today. So in the fall of 2009, in November of that year to be precise, I began my work at the Commonwealth Council on Developmental Disabilities as a front desk manager, and my job duties consisted of answering and transferring calls, greeting visitors, typical front desk manager type work. Um, the big thing here was it wasn't sub minimum wage. This was real jobs for real wages. This was the big stuff. This was going to forever change my life, and it has. I'm proud to say that I've had the job for almost 12 years, and my job duties since then has increased to other things within the office. And I do want to say that sub minimum wage I feel is wrong. It needs to go away. It's just not right. There's
And
many.
here's a little bit of data to break down on
All
that. The
right, Denver's
subminimum
manager
wage.
Beth is going to give data right now.
Okay. First of all, Tim's blind metal gamer Tim, he's right about subminimum wage. It does need to go away, but even the real wages have to be equal.
Yes,
But there's always a breakdown in, like, disabled women, for example, get paid
mhm.
less than he does at his job. And, like, for example, if this Mr. Blind Metal Gamer over there gets paid $10
X.
to do the work he's doing now at the X, $10. I'm just making it up, okay?
Right, right, okay.
But if you got paid for
10.
every $10 you get paid, I get paid maybe 6 or 7,
Oh, wow.
because that's how that's just cross gender lines. But if you add disability
Right.
and or race to that picture, it
It,
also goes down as well.
yeah, I agree. Wages need to be equal for
Yeah.
everybody. Not.
Right.
I
And
mean, and the reason
no,
why I say that
exactly.
sub minimum wage needs to
Mhm.
go, it's 80 years old,
It-
and the times have changed. Back when that law was enacted in
mhm,
1938, you want to know where people like you and I
mhm.
were at for the most part?
Institutions.
Yes, we were in institutions, and what they would do in these institutions is they would basically keep us there, and we didn't get to see the outside world. We didn't get to experience community life. Now, fast forward to 2021, people with disabilities are in your communities. They're in your grocery stores. They're in your restaurants, in your doctor's offices, in your capitals,
They're
in your
everywhere.
schools. Yes.
Yes.
And these ICFs, institutional care facilities, are going away. So I believe
Mhm.
that sub minimum wage needs to do the same, because there, it's
Mhm.
just a dying business model, and it needs to be gone. And now, granted,
Mhm.
the Workforce Equal Opportunity Act, WIOA, is a great thing. The schools are now moving towards competitive integrated employment, which is great. I'm all in favor of that.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
and then you have a lot of these sheltered employment facilities like FHI that are starting to close
Uh-huh.
their doors, or they're changing their business model. Okay, they can't do some minimum wage or piecework. Get them prepared for competitive integrated employment in the community. Start
Mhm.
them out in a familiar setting. I'm not advocating
Yes.
for segregated employment because I don't believe in that. You know, Maybe let
Mhm.
these sheltered employment places either A, pay them minimum wage, or B, and this is my thought, let these, and you might agree or disagree with this, let
Huh?
these quote unquote sheltered employment places change their business models to where they can be training centers for these people and prepare them for integrated competitive employment in certain fields,
That
front
would
desk
not actually
manager.
sound like a bad idea.
No, it's not.
That is
And
not a no, it doesn't sound like a bad idea. In fact, I had a positive experience working doing some job adjustment training at the Colorado Center's front desk.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But to be quite honest, I hate front desk work and I don't want to say anything. I'm not trying to offend you,
Right, right, right.
but everybody has their stereotypical thing to say about the front desk girl or guy. It doesn't matter.
Hey, here's how I
But
look at it.
I would have.
Here's my thoughts on that. My room of thumb,
Yeah.
and this is anybody that's listening with or without a disability. Hey, there's no shame in being a
Hmm.
front desk manager. I take pride in it. Yeah, I might have days where I might
Hmm.
complain a little bit and I might groan a little bit, but that's with any job.
Hey,
Okay,
everybody does that.
okay,
Everybody groans about work, but
yep.
what?
So,
But see, as
what? All
far
right.
as I'm concerned, I
What I
ended up
was.
having to quit two different work adjustments because
Mm,
being a woman with as many problems as I had, people actually made up these thoughts that I was unemployable. I'm glad you got your job, but for
It
me,
was
I'm
weird
trying to
because I
make a
got that
job.
too. I got that too because they thought, oh,
Mm-hmm.
what can a blind person do?
Yeah.
They thought that, oh, he's intellectually
Mm-hmm.
disabled. He's this, da da da. No, they couldn't figure out the fact that a visually impaired person, all I needed was
Mm-hmm.
assistive technology supports and,
Mm-hmm.
O&M. And that's it. And I'm
That's
doing
all
great.
I would really need
But
too. Yeah, like,
back to our focus. Um, these sheltered
mhm,
employment shops. Okay, I get
yeah.
why they're there, and I get they give parents the option. But if you're going to change your business model
Mm-hmm.
to a competitive,
Mm-hmm.
integrated employment perspective, what they need to
Uh-huh.
do is either
Yeah.
get with the times or train these individuals with disabilities. I'm fully aware that a good bunch of the people in these shops are people with developmental and intellectual disabilities. So you got your across the board. Train them in different, you know, job skills like front desk manager, computer usage, basic like Microsoft Word, note taking, office skills such as collating, copying, um, maybe other things. Get them out in the communities. And like, let's say you had someone that wanted to work in a restaurant. Use a supported employment
Get them the
service.
certified.
Get them
Oh my
certifications.
God, I
Yes,
got some
get them
certifications,
certifications.
food handler certifications.
Yes, and
I
then
knew a guy who said he wanted to work at. Mhm.
after that, what they could do, and this is the next step. After that, okay, they
Mhm.
got their certification in the place. Then the next step is
Uh-huh.
getting them out in the community, not keeping them in that sheltered employment place, but get them out there in that
Get
place
them.
where they got their certification.
Mhm.
Let's say food handler. Get them in a restaurant. Get them
Mhm.
working for real jobs for real wages. And to employers out there who are wondering, yes, customized employment is an option,
Mhm.
and if you want to use
Mhm.
customized employment and want to learn more about it, you can go to the Department of Labor or just Google customized employment, and you'll get videos and information on that. And also to any employer out there
Ooh.
that is wondering about, should I hire a person with a disability who's on the fence? Don't be afraid to hire someone with a developmental or intellectual or physical disability, because let me tell you,
Because
they
we
don't care.
work our butts off.
Yeah, we don't care about being
Yeah.
we as people with disabilities,
Mhm.
she and I, don't care about being the CEO. We don't care about being the top dog. We just want real jobs for real wages so we can give the best life possible and the best life outcome possible. Now, Beth,
Yeah.
do you have anything you would like to add as
Yes.
far as suggestions for employers related to real jobs for real wages
Yes.
and how they could help with hiring people with disabilities in terms of that regard, getting them
Oh,
away from sub
definitely.
minimum wages?
Definitely. Yes. For employers that are afraid to hire someone with a disability, you guys, we're in a labor shortage right now. And I want you, as an employer or someone who does like job coaches, I don't care what you do for a living, I want you to take a sneak peek at some of the blind on Facebook, Twitter, and other social media platforms
What about other
and listen.
disabilities?
Listen to them.
What about other disabilities?
Ooh,
Not just
sorry.
blind. You got to think.
Disabilities, yeah, just all kinds
Anyone,
of
yeah, just
disabilities.
look at
Like take
anyone
a
with
look
a,
at the disability. Even if they don't say disability in their bio, listen to the disabled community around the internet and
yes,
around you.
yes.
Let them talk because they're going to say things like, hey, why are you turning your noses up at us and yet you don't have enough waitresses or whatever to fill your restaurant with?
Mm-hmm.
Or you might not have enough people work in the post office, God forbid. I have a buddy, she's not disabled, but she's
The
one of the
post
best mail
office.
carriers out there. I want to give a shout out to the mail carriers
Yes.
because we need them right now and we need more of them. And well, we need more people working anyway. But listen to the disabled community. And also, when you are sitting down with, say, a blind person or someone in a wheelchair
Right.
or someone with both, listen to their needs. Don't be afraid to address their needs. Ask them,
That
is there anything you need me to do for you?
and as employers,
Mm-hmm.
make sure the job they're going to get
Uh-huh.
is going to match the business's needs, because the
Right. And if
motto of
you need
customized employment
somebody at the
is
front desk,
it's matching the
yeah,
business's needs with what can that person do to
mm-hmm.
meet those needs. So, for example, at my job, okay,
Right.
not only okay, so my job has shifted a little bit. It started, as we talked about earlier, answering phones, transferring calls,
Front
greeting
desk.
visitors. Well,
Yeah.
that model has kind
Mm-hmm.
of died off where I'm at now. So okay, what can he do?
Uh-huh.
Well, now that things have been turned upside down and are all topsy turvy, and the world is in a weird state, and
Mm-hmm.
people, I've been working remotely. What have they discovered? Okay, he can take notes. So now I'm taking notes for various meetings, and as well as my other duties. So again, meeting those employer needs and the interests of that person. So
Right.
let's say in a hypothetical, and this is something I was interested in but it didn't pan out, broadcasting.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say, as an example, that was to be an avenue one day down the line that I could explore.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I didn't get the college degree,
Mm-hmm.
but I've got various broadcasting experiences under my belt, from doing this or other things.
Which goes to show the resume. Don't be afraid to look at someone's resume. And please don't
Just because
require
they
a
don't have a
college
college,
degree or a driver license.
yeah, those two things can be
Driver license.
hindering for people. I'm not saying
Yeah,
college
they
degrees
really
are a
do
bad
hinder
thing.
us.
I'm not saying no. I'm
Yeah.
not knocking college degrees because
No,
and
because
no
college isn't always bad, but
no.
it's a
But for
waste of
those,
money, in my opinion. And
yeah, that we can get
um,
on a whole other soapbox on
for
that. But
those
anyway,
considering college, it's great if you want to do like scholarly work. For example,
right,
I know someone who's like postdoc.
mm,
I know people who are like postdoctoral educating people,
right,
and and they do things like they do surveys. I've actually participated in quite a few helpful surveys with. There's a blind professor at Yale who sent me a
mm,
survey, and I was like, "Ooh, great! I'll just fill this out." So I filled it out, and
Mhm.
I also want to give a shout out to the postdoctoral student. She is in, oh God, I think I can't remember what university she works with, but this gal has been big into a group. She has a group on Facebook. She does a blog. She does lots of cool
Mhm.
stuff, and it's all about disability in the scholarly realm of things. And that's okay. Look, I don't think all college is a waste of time, but for me it was because I wanted to
Right.
go to like music college, and that required like 4 freaking hours of practice a day. I
Yeah.
had to borrow practice rooms, but on top of that, I had a laptop break. In the last year I was at Florida State, my
Oh.
dang screen reader broke, and I had to have a reader do my theory homework with me. I
Right.
also needed somebody to read my mail and help me do other things. I was neglecting everything because I was so worried that I would,
About
and
your
I
academics.
ended up
Right.
failing a
Right.
jury. Yeah, and my family was not helping matters at all. And I said,
Right.
okay, can I think of a college degree that isn't going to be that much work?
Right. And for people
Because
with disabilities,
mhm,
college it can be a
mhm,
good thing, but it's a very challenging beast to overcome. I mean, you have to
it's
have
a very
supports
challenging thing.
and
Yeah,
services to
and
overcome. And if you
for
don't
me,
have
it
that,
was very.
you're not going to succeed. And here's the thing to employers, if you're listening, um,
Mm-hmm,
if that person doesn't have a college degree, but they have the experience to make up
mm-hmm.
for it, don't be afraid to take a chance on
Yeah.
hiring them because, for example, okay, let's say you go in and you're doing the front desk thing and you're taking notes, all this stuff. Let's say there's a
Mm-hmm.
job that comes
Yeah.
up that, okay, you got that, that's great, but you got that degree. You have to have that degree to get in the door. Just because that person doesn't have the
Mm-hmm.
degree, if they have enough experience to make up for that degree, take a chance and hire them.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to find this with a lot
Mm-hmm.
of the disability community that they don't all go to
Yeah, because
college.
we're pretty loyal.
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
loyal, faithful. We do our
Mhm.
job. We don't gripe about it. We just suck it up and do it.
we,
The point is real jobs,
uh-huh.
real wages needs to be the
And
normal. It needs to be the
yeah.
standard. And sheltered employment,
And I
which is
also have
segregating, it's a segregated form of employment.
segregating.
They basically
Mm-hmm.
get you away from people in the community that are typically developing. So, like right now in my work, I work with people with
Mm-hmm.
disabilities and without disabilities. When I was at FHI almost 20 years
Mm-hmm.
ago, it was strictly
Mm-hmm.
intellectual disability, maybe a couple of developmental disabilities. And that was
Mm-hmm.
it. There was no other outside people. It was just that one group setting. And where I'm at now, it's literally
And
a situation where
yeah.
I can, socially,
Mm-hmm.
it helps social skills. It helps with um, work
Uh-huh.
etiquette, on the job because you're having to learn to work with
Work
other
ethic.
people. Yes, your work ethic. It helps with
Your work ethic
advocacy
has.
because
Mm-hmm.
you have to advocate for what you need and what you need for the job. You can't just expect your supervisor to do it for you and know what you need. You have to say, "Hey, I need X, Y, Z," and you can't be mean about it. You have to be
Mm-hmm.
polite, respectful. You can't go up and demand, "Hey,
And
I
I
need
try to do that even
blah
with,
blah blah,"
yeah, like, hey, I need this, that, and the other thing. I need help with blankety blank. And
right?
I'm
And if you
trying to
go
approach that with
and demand it,
everyone.
you're not going to get it.
Like, mhm.
Isn't that right? If you're demanding,
That's, yeah,
that's
right.
one
I
thing
mean,
that really much. I mean,
I'm not trying to demand
reasonable.
something from certain people.
Right. All
No.
I ask is okay,
Reasonable? Hmm.
accommodations. And now again, at my job, I got everything I
Hmm.
need. But for those who are seeking jobs or looking to seek for new
Hmm.
employees, don't be afraid to
Don't be
hire
afraid
someone
to.
with a disability because you're going to find out
Hmm.
9 times out of 10 they're loyal, they're
Hmm.
faithful, they're on time, they get the job done in a very timely manner, they get work
And
done. And I
in my
support,
case, I'm always very apologetic.
yeah,
I'm very
they,
apologetic,
yeah,
especially with, like, if the bus breaks down or the
right, oh
ride
yeah,
or the transport is late.
oh
God,
yeah,
that happens a lot.
oh
So,
yeah. exactly.
I'll
I
call
mean,
you and I'll say,
hey,
yeah,
and
like
the
I'll
same
call
way, I'll
someone.
send a message or
Mhm,
whatever. Hey, boss, my ride is late. I might be a little late today.
mhm.
Okay, fine, but I let them know in advance. The point I'm getting
Yeah,
at with
that's
this,
exactly what I do.
the point
Yeah.
is that
Mhm.
just because the person has a disability, don't be afraid to take a chance on hiring them because they might meet your business's needs. And you'll give them a chance to get out in the
Mhm.
community. You'll get this person introduced to great new things such as community participation in the workforce, work ethic,
Mhm.
a lot of amazing things, all done because of real work for real wages. And with real work for real wages, one thing how it
Yes.
has benefited me is okay. We talked about earlier. I couldn't support my family. Um, Back when I was at FHI, when I would get paid, the only thing I could do was buy a CD or a video game at that time, and this is 2003 money, so you don't want to adjust for inflation. But now that I'm working real jobs for real wages,
Mm.
I can pay bills. I can achieve financial independence. I'm able to support myself and family. I'm able to do all these great things, and it's because
Mm.
real jobs for real wages works. It works. It's the thing that
It
needs to be
it
done.
really does work.
It does.
Oh God, yes.
It does.
It really does
Um,
work.
and to
For
any
me, I wanted to be a social worker as well in college, but
and to any
if I was
legislators
working
or
as a social worker,
anyone that might
mhm,
be listening,
mhm,
to any legislators that might be
yeah,
listening to this, no matter what state you're in, if there's
mhm,
any bills to address the issue of subminimum wage, get behind it because
take a look.
yeah, at least take a look at it
Yeah.
because you never know. It could be a good thing, and you'll be helping out those with disabilities as
It could be
well.
your son, your daughter,
Yes,
your niece, your
grandchildren,
nephew with a disability
etc.
that could be impacted by this.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
like
yes,
I
and
think there's a Tim, I think there's somebody with a disability in the legislature, not in the legislature, but besides Tammy Duckworth. I'm thinking
mm,
there's this one congressperson who addressed a guy with Fragile X syndrome. And
mm,
I don't know much about Fragile X, but I do know that this congressperson wanted to push the competitive employment thing with that kid.
yes,
And I'm very
that's a good
proud of him
thing.
for that because
Yes,
if
yes.
this kid wants to support family and make money and do the things he wants to do, he should
Competitive
have that
integrated
right.
employment
Duh.
is the way to go. And yes, I
Hmm.
agree. All people with disabilities should
Hmm.
have the right to experience competitive integrated employment
Hmm.
for real jobs for real wages. So,
Hmm.
with that being said, I want to say something real quick to close out the cast here, and that is
Yeah.
this: I strongly support real jobs for real wages, and I am very much ready to see the end of subminimum wage in this country. And I want to see subminimum wage go away and be replaced with a model that will be real jobs for real wages based, where people with disabilities of all types, not just one disability, but of
Hmm.
all disabilities, can experience real jobs for real wages and experience competitive integrated employment in their communities, and it be made available to people of all disabilities, no matter what their level or what experiences they have. So, with that being said, in closing, I support real jobs for real wages. And from my co host Beth, aka Denver Queen, I've been your host Tim, aka Blind Metal Gamer,
Yep.
saying so long, everyone,
Mm.
and peace out.
So, peace out.
Yep, peace out.
Yay. Let me know when we're